Okay, that took a minute. It said it was going live for like 2 minutes, but I wasn't really going live. Is it live or is it Memorex? All right. Please kindly let me know if we are having issues, buffering issues, whatever. I see people are here. Hello. And welcome to the Star-Crossed Lovers news that didn't make the news. So I don't know where that came from. Hello, Queen Star Sophia. How's it going? I just did live tarot on Facebook to get my channel open and raring to go over here. So hello and welcome to Star-Crossed Lovers. Just kidding, kind of. Okay, so incarnations. Oh, you were waiting. It said I had 0 people waiting. Social media platform lied to me. I can't even believe it. Right? So, all right. We're going to talk about some stuff. Okay. We're going to talk about disowning self. We are going to talk about incarnations choosing multiple bodies simultaneously and whatever else comes up. Hello and welcome to the news that is starting to make the news. May have to change the name to this pretty soon. Something has been coming to my attention here over and over and over for the last 4 days. And that's something that came directly from the Catholic Church. And that is, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. What does this mean? Let's talk about that. Probably because I didn't eat enough and I had to take a break from one video to the next so that I could have a snack. Because apparently being long-winded burns calories. Wow, there are so many orbs in here. Well, I could turn around and look at them like I do in every video, but I know I won't see them when I turn around. I can only see them in the camera. Hello, Christina Maria Schindler, Yada Chata from the Redwoods, and welcome back. Okay, there's a couple people here. All right. Okay, so thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. You may be wondering, like me, why this is repeatedly coming to me for the last couple of days over and over again. Hello, Nikki. How are you? You found me. Maybe notifications are working. I tried to go live and do tarot before. I'm going to do a video here because basically part of the reason I go live to do tarot is to tell you I'm making a YouTube video because you guys keep telling me that notifications aren't working. Hello, James Whitkiss. Long time no see. So, hello and welcome. The first thing that I want to say is, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. This was playing through my mind for many days. And what it came through specifically in its meaning to me right now is, I am a light being or an angel in a human body standing on planet Earth. Thy kingdom does come, right? This is thy kingdom. But thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So the heavens, the outer realms of possibility, the amazing, imaginative realms of higher frequency, of multidimensionality, come through to us from the heavens. Okay, so if we say, Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, that is saying that the multidimensional energy that we feel, okay, whether that's bleeding through from past lifetime or something in the future, being done on earth as it is in heaven means, as a light being or a human, an angel in human 3D physical body form, that I use the energy from the higher realms, from the cosmos, from the universe, the multiverse, the omniverse, to anchor in that which already resides or cosmically. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Because I trust it, because I believe it, because I hear it, I feel it. Some days I smell it and taste it. So what we do on earth by accessing alchemically the realms of multidimensionality or the realms within cosmic omniversal space mean that I, Tina Hammond, and all of you as a light form in a human body are anchoring that cosmic energy so that what happens in the cosmos, the energy that we feel in the cosmos, can be anchored and made into physical reality here on earth. The higher frequency of earth means that we are in a higher base frequency in a human body. So since the time that they started recording this human resonance, which I think was about 200 years ago, close to that, it has been 7.83. Now, I doubt they're going to tell us when this is changing. I'm telling you, this is changing. Just like our frequency is raising, our vibration is raising. So is that of the planet. So we are not currently ringing or vibrating at 7.83 anymore. I've known this for a while. So every time we have solar energy that comes through, it's going to pick up the frequency of the earth, and it's going to pick up the frequency within the heart, because that's the motor or the core of the human body, which we should be using as our compass, okay? So that we become our own personal sage in physical reality, anchoring all that which resides in a feeling state or a multi-dimensional state within the omniverse. We can anchor that energy into the body and create that reality. So if solar energy then creates a spark, a solar storm, and we as a human body and we as a planet anchor in that energy, that means that planet Earth then is resonating at a higher frequency, and the human body is also resonating at a higher frequency. I hope you guys can hear me okay, because for some reason my screen looks extremely blurry, and I'm not concerned with what it looks like. But I know typically when that happens, there's sound issues that accompany that. So with these solar storms comes a frequency that levels up the human body, the human heart, the motor of the body, the core of the planet's consciousness, and our consciousness as well. So that means when these solar storms come in, they create a solar portal, and that solar portal gives a higher base frequency to Earth. Now, if Earth was resonating at 7.83 for 200 years or however long they've been measuring it, it is not vibrating at 7.83 anymore. It's way above 7.83 at this point. So the solar energy comes in and it raises that Schumann frequency within the planet and within our body as well. So if the Earth has a higher base frequency, then we're going to have a higher base frequency. Also, if we have a higher base of frequency, we are going to add and amp up the energy of the Earth. So it's working both ways. These solar storms create a solar portal of energy, which then upgrades us within our heart space portal to then maneuver and use our body as a compass to become the highest version of ourselves. So the base frequency of Earth shifting to a higher frequency and humanity shifting to a higher frequency as well. Solar portals are created from solar flares. Okay, so solar flares then create a solar portal. Solar portals affect the core of the Earth before they affect the atmosphere. And this is something I started saying. I wrote an article about this. I want to say it was about 2 years ago. And someone that actually does read my stuff and listen to me actually sent me an article saying that some scientific magazine had just said, I think it was 3 weeks after I had made, that announcement that to me was, something new and very spectacular. Someone had shared that with me. So the solar portal, the solar flares affect the core of Earth before it affects the atmosphere. It doesn't come in and affect the atmosphere and work its way to the core. Okay. So the sun is that masculine projection energy, and Mother Earth, female Mother Earth, is a magnet to that solar energy, to that solar portal. Okay. So solar portals affect the core of the Earth first before affecting the atmosphere. In the same way, solar energy or solar portals affect our in that same way, solar energy or solar portals affect our internal terrain, so our heart, our consciousness, etc., before they affect our 3D reality. I'm going to say that again because I think it's incredibly important. In the same way, the solar energy or the solar portal affects our internal terrain, what's going on within us, right? Our introspection, our magic, our passion, our direction, the amplification of our heartbeat, the raising in our consciousness field, the colors, the auras, right? So the body has a toroidal field and the north and south pole, just like the planet. And at the north and south poles, when we have a lot of solar activity, that amps up the aurora borealis, which is just a bunch of amazing colors at the new. Personally, that means the colors within your auric field and the energy within your auric field is going to change as well. Our inner terrain, our heart space, and our consciousness is affected first before it flows out to our energy field. So solar portals and solar radiation, solar downloads, solar upgrades, all of this stuff, they are magnetized directly to the core of Earth first with these solar flares and these solar portals. The same thing happens. It affects us at a core level, at a heart level, at a consciousness level first, and then it filters out into our auric field and affects our 3D reality. So when this happens, when these solar flares happen, wow, that was a really big orb there. So if when this solar portal, when this solar energy strikes, goes to the core of the planet, for us, goes into our heart space and expands into our consciousness. If this new energy, new consciousness, as is disregarded as a dream, as a fantasy, as our imagination, we will then not be able to create in 3D reality what the higher energy is showing us in that dream, that fantasy, or that amazing use of our imagination. So what I'm saying is, when solar energy comes in, it's going to shift the heart space and the consciousness. So initially, when you feel it, we all feel it at different times. Some of us feel it, a week before it happens. If there's something really in it for you, that is a stellar relaunch for you. Let's put it that way. That's why it said star-crossed lovers. I should have known that where this was going. So if the energy comes in from the sun, that allows us a new heart space energy and a new consciousness. And when it initially comes, we see things, we feel things. It could be relocation, it could be partners, it could be working with animals. Whatever magical thing you are seeing, multidimensionally, vibrationally coming in, because the sun delivers whatever energy is hanging out in the omniverse. Okay, so that's coming through. So initially, whether you feel that a week before, the moment it happens on the sun, or 48 hours after the solar flare, when it actually reaches, the earth plane and physicality, you are going to see things, feel things, and hear things that are not based in 3D. They are multidimensional. They may have come across as a relocation or a partner or mission or something coming through to you that is 3D, but it's going to come in energy first. And the reason I'm talking about this is because when this new energy comes in with the solar flare, for example, and we say to ourselves, oh, well, this is just my imagination. This is just a dream. This is just a fantasy or a daydream, or my imagination's running wild. Whatever you're telling yourself, you are going to stop or just slow down the manifestation of that thing. Because the thing is, our human body is in a relaxed state, and when we're sleeping or dreaming, or when we're in the astral realm, we will float out, in the omniversally, and we will pick up things. But because we're asleep, our consciousness, or lack thereof, is not telling us, oh, Tina, this is just a dream. It's just a fantasy. It's just whatever. It's not, there's no base in reality. It's not something that's coming to me. Okay. So in our dream time, or in our sleeping hours, we're not logically trying to talk ourselves out of something that we feel, see, or hear interstellarly or omniversally that's coming in. But when these solar flares come in, upon initial impact, and so what I'm saying is it's extremely important for you not to say, oh, this is just a fantasy, or this is just my imagination, or this is just a dream. Because we create our reality with our imagination, and we create our reality with our fantasy, and we create our reality with our dreams. We are best served really listening to ourselves and our own guidance, and the guidance that comes through other people who are reaching out to us. Because I find that there's always a reason that other people are reaching out to us, but it's really incredibly important that we not disown ourselves. Now, it's important that we're open and receptive to these stellar changes that are coming into our lives in a physical way. And the best way you can do that is by, when this solar energy is bringing you a dream, or sparking your imagination, or you're having some vivid fantasy about how awesome, your life is going to become or could become or whatever. The most important thing is to not try to talk ourselves out of that, and just know that we, in some way or another, are always, always, always feeling that, um, before we see it manifest. So, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, means we can anchor in the omniversal stellar energy coming from the sun and all the other bodies in our universe, in our multiverse, in our omniverse. We can anchor those in with our psychic ability, with our knowing, our clairaudience, our clairsentience, our clairvoyance, all of those things, and know that that energy is there to help you use your imagination. Okay, so to daydream, to dream, to create reality, to fantasize, and all those other things. Meaning, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth on earth as it is in heaven. Meaning, we don't question when we tap into that higher omniversal frequency. We don't cut it off by telling ourselves, oh, that's not true, or that's just my imagination, or whatever. So one of the things that I can suggest, because I know for me, when I first started experiencing interstellar and outerstellar things, it was easy to say, oh, that's just my imagination or whatever. But instead, what I started doing that really helped me to be able to anchor and create from that imagination, that interstellar, outerstellar, omniversal place was when I saw that thing or heard that thing, felt that thing, to say, oh, well, that's really beautiful. Thank you. Instead of saying, that's just my imagination, let me disregard that. So one of the things that might be somewhat complicated for some of us to understand, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. People talk about twin flames and soulmates and divine partnership, and all of those things are true, and all of those things, like the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus, right, and Cupid, do exist if we allow and invite those things to exist. So this might be a complicated subject matter. Okay. The sound is breaking up. I hope it's okay. I don't know what else I can do unless I try to make a video where I'm like at the back of the room trying to talk to you from 20 feet away, because I think it just has to be the way my energy interacts with technology. That being said, like the soulmate, twin flame, divine partnership thing, okay, that is real, that exists, meaning that your energy could decide to present itself or relaunch itself into two separate bodies. Okay. And when that happens, there's all kinds of crazy, magical connectedness and phenomena. And there is a possibility that maybe you're not aware of, that I want to bring to your attention. That is, whenever there is a call out from Earth for a band of volunteers, so to speak, if something is really important, and we have done this before, we may decide to, I don't want to make it sound like Jesus will literally reincarnate into 20 different bodies, okay? But that's what it can be. And it doesn't just have to be, Jesus. It can be, it can really be anybody, Okay, so anybody that's gotten to an ascended point in another lifetime or another planet or even another galaxy. So what I'm saying is beyond soulmate or twin flame, when you have this energy where perhaps you have a person that decides to take on or have their energy in two different bodies, which will then magnetize and you won't be able to stop yourself. You'll be so incredibly drawn to this person. That's why started to say this is welcome to Star-Crossed Lovers. Okay. But when Earth put out this call for this wave of volunteers, there was a group that decided to fractalize themselves into multiple bodies. Okay, so instead of just having the energy of Sirius just be in Sirius, Sirius could decide to integrate itself, or I could have decided to integrate myself. Even though I'm coming here, this is really hard to put into words what I'm seeing. Even though I've come here, right? Tina Hammond is my, Earth identity, light form in human body. If pre-birth, there was something incredibly important that I knew was going to happen, I could have put myself, fractalized myself, or sprinkled my stardust of self, my stardust of consciousness, into several different bodies, knowing that that bodies would come together later to work together to achieve the same goal. That's why it's very important for us to be assisting other people. I do know, yes, Blu-ray, right, James? I do know that it might be a little bit complex to understand. But let's say in the interim between this lifetime and the next, I decide that there's some cause in the universe that is so worthy that I'm going to take my knowledge, my introspection, my wisdom, parts of my ancient self that I've collected in every incarnation, and spread those apart in 8 different people or 12 different people or whatever. This is not something that a ton of people have chosen to do. Okay. And you will know that because you will feel drawn to talk to that person. You will specifically feel drawn to working with that other person. And this will be a magnet that is very hard for you to disregard. Now, on the first wave of ascension, because we are aware that there are, opportunities, people, places, things, situations that are highly beneficial to us being kind of selfish. No, I choose this partner. I'm not going to entertain anyone else, or I choose, to do this YouTube thing by myself. I'm not going to, do it with other people or whatever. But what is kind of hindering us on the first wave of consciousness is in this moment is staying in this quiet, introspective, I know exactly who I want, I know what I want, I know where I'm going. And then that can stop us from the connectivity and the receptivity of working with others. Okay, so you might think, well, I'm a public speaker and this person is an engineer. What could we possibly have to do? Or, this person is a mechanic and I'm an astrologist. What could we possibly have to deal with each other? But the consciousness, wave by wave, doesn't care what you might be doing, participating in, or, partaking in your 3D occupation. It doesn't care. Okay. And we will have come from very diverse places and very different upbringings and possibly even different countries. But it's really important for us. And like I said, it's because we know what we want, who we want, and where we're going that we sometimes limit ourselves in collaborating or cooperating with other people outside those persons, places, and things that we know we're working to. So what I'm suggesting is launching or relaunching ourselves in the first wave of consciousness to anybody and everybody for cooperation and collaboration who is on the same wave, whether they're a mechanic or an engineer or a hairdresser or whatever. Again, the consciousness, we decided, if we came here and decided to put our consciousness into multiple different bodies so that when we met again, we would carry the fractal. Now, I'm not saying there's 8 different Tinas or 12 different Tinas walking around out there. I'm saying that some of us had gotten to a point in consciousness in other lifetimes that we decided to share that, give that. Okay, so there are a lot of things that we could do in past lives that we're not at the point where we can do right now. And what am I seeing? Okay, so it looks like that we could work on our own DNA. A lot of us have been talking to our own DNA, but it looks like we could specifically speak to or talk to other people's DNA as well. Okay, so we all have our own soul and our own consciousness, but we could have decided to come in here with the amassed knowledge and wisdom from certain rites that we had performed or certain things that we had learned to execute at the highest possible version of reality, that we would have chosen to take that essence of self and have it incarnate into several bodies. Now, this is really interesting, but those of you that know me know I have a son, and he is 30 years old this year. It's very interesting because not only does he's, Zach is a masculine energy, but he looks almost identical to me. Okay, he's the same Chinese zodiac as me. As rare as it is to be left-handed, he is left-handed like me. He looks like me. And he's the same Chinese zodiac, which is the dog, like me. And he barely missed being a Scorpio. Wouldn't that have been something else? And so that was an extension of my conscious apprehension within the heart space to put myself in multiple bodies because I knew this particular job was incredibly important. So prior to incarnation, you can choose to occupy multiple body if you feel the duty of earth call warrants that or calls out for that. Now, I will say, you guys know people on social media, the amount of people with Magdalene in their name or Mary in their name or Athena in their name, because I could tell you I have probably, 50 people with the word Magdalene or Mary in their name on Facebook. The amount of people named Tina, Christine, and Christina on my Facebook with Athena in there is also astounding, okay? Both of those things have been put into me. So not only pre-birth could you and I have decided, okay, let's get together with Nikki, let's get together with James, let's get together with Susan, and let's really work together when we most needed it and when it most counted. There are beings equal to us or that could have even mastered things beyond the comprehension that we had, even though that's a great comprehension. Mary Magdalene, for example, Athena. Doesn't matter whether you believe in these people or not. They are part of the planetary consciousness in this universe. Okay, so any one of those ascended masters or priestesses or high priestesses or oracles, whatever you want to call them. Okay, just like I decided to sprinkle myself, my consciousness, to do a really tough job at the end of the cycle. Okay, Athena could have chosen the same thing. Mary Magdalene could have chosen the same thing. Now, sometimes where I see people get really hung up is insisting that they are the direct incarnation or reincarnation of Athena, of Mary Magdalene, or whatever. The reason why, and I do believe that that is possible, and I believe that has happened for many thousands of years. But what I feel like has happened this time around at the end of this cycle is that not only have you and I chosen to sprinkle ourselves into multiple incarnations, but I also feel like Athena, Mary Magdalene, Gandhi, Saint Germain, Archangel Michael, the list goes on and on and on, have all decided, hey, what if I what if I was a part of James Whitkus? What if I was a part of Tina Hammond? What if I was a part of Nikki Ponting? What if I was a part of Susan Ferguson? What if I was all those parts? And what if I chose hundreds and hundreds of people to incarnate my my alchemy? Okay, so you and I could have chosen this. I know I did. I've done this for a while. I don't. It's never something that I've ever talked about until tonight. But also these great masters, these great priests and priestesses that have walked before us have also decided that it's time to do it. Why else would you see so many people on social media taking on the name Archangel Michael, or throwing Germain or Saint Germain in there, or Mary or Magdalena or Sophia, right? Because that energy knew what it was doing. And that energy also knew that some of us would be choosing to fractalize, or, embed our wisdom, our stardust, our ancient knowledge down into multiple bodies. And if I decided, maybe I decided to do it 8 or 10, 12 different people, and maybe Mary Magdalene decided to put her wisdom, her ancient right, or her priestess energy into 200 people. 200,000 people would probably be my guess. The amount of people that resonate with that, and even if you don't resonate with that, there's somebody else that you will resonate with. Okay, and it just depends on what your receptivity is. If you've had a upbringing that was, in the Bible Belt or something extremely religious, maybe you shied away from that Mary Magdalene thing, and maybe you took on a fractal of Athena, or someone that was more the magical kind of cosmical realm of things, because you had a bad taste in your mouth from religion or whatever it is. Source is just never ending possibility of our imagination. Okay, so source would have kept on fractaling itself out and making new life and new creations and new creations and new creations. Well, how would it do that without taking fractals of self and putting it into man? We can choose to occupy multiple bodies. Athena, the Oracle of Delphi, Mary Magdalene, Joan of Arc, all of these people decided to fractalize themselves into, some of them, into hundreds of thousands of people, so that they could assist us in this magical journey that we're on right now. Sometimes it's magical. Sometimes it doesn't feel magical. I'm almost done talking and it hasn't been 3 hours. That's a miracle. On a lighter note, I want to share something with you that I find hilarious, because this is how easily entertained I am. I must be literally the cheapest date on planet Earth. No matter what you think about Valentine's Day, and I worked in the flower shop for 26 years, so I looked up all the old ancient folklore of Valentine's Day, that in which I'm not going to bore you with at the moment. Suffice it to say, though it has been commercialized, it is a celebration of love and unity. And though I know it has been commercialized and taken away from its root form, this is a holiday that I have always had an issue with. Okay, I'm not going to go into the reasons for that either. The two most romantic and inspiring holidays out of all the holidays to me are Valentine's Day and New Year's Eve. And for multiple of those, in fact, most of those, I've been by myself. So I do some pretty inventive things on those holidays to I keep myself out of stores or malls or basically anywhere like that. And I order the kind of day I have in advance. Usually it's a couple of days, sometimes a week, depending. But this really gave me a good laugh this year, right? Because whether it's important to you or not, and whether you think it's a commercial holiday or not, I get salty around certain holidays, right? And I didn't want to like be around like, whatever, anywhere near the shopping scene because I knew, flowers, candy, jewelry, etc., right? So I always order the exact kind of day that I want for Christmas and Valentine's Day every year. And that's not specific. I don't order a person or a car or anything. I just, state, what the beautiful positivity that I want for that day, right? Because I honestly am salty on those two holidays. Now, this is funny because this really gave me a good laugh because I know I'm salty on those holidays and I avoid shopping on those holidays. But I had to go to the grocery store on Valentine's Day. And the reason I had to go to the store on Valentine's Day was because I was out of salt. So while I said I'm always salty on those holidays and have to order what is I reality on those days, is I know I'm salty. And I literally immersed myself in the thick of it right after everyone got off work at like 5:30 at the grocery store, surrounded by flowers, balloons, hearts, chocolates, and and a stampede of men in the grocery store looking for something to take home to their wives. And I, like I said, those holidays make me salty. And I went and I was in that rush of male madness at the grocery store because I literally ran out of salt, which is so funny because I was less salty this holiday than other holidays. Uh, but I'm like, it didn't even hit me. And it did hit me. I was like, oh, I don't want to go to the grocery store for all the reasons I just mentioned. But then I didn't even think about it when I got home. I'm like, really, I'm salty on the holidays. And I mean, and I buy salt like 5-7 pounds at a time from Costco. So the fact that I'm salty on Valentine's Day and I ran out of salt. But anyway, yes, whatever we are receptive to is what is going to come into our physical reality for us. And there's this real need to ground in and anchor in this very abundant yet independent energy. And when I say independent, I don't mean as my um, ex-boyfriend used to say to me quite often, die as a spinster. I don't mean that kind of independence. Um, he was a Scorpio too, and he calls that bag of scorpions, like when you throw that kind of thing out, to somebody, right? Like stinging scorpions. But the need to be independent from anything doesn't feel gloriously like you. It's not the need to be independent or single forever for the rest of your life, but being independent from that which uh, doesn't serve you. And that's really, really, really hard for people, I've noticed recently. Oh, hello, Rennie. Were you out chopping wood and carrying water? Or am I getting you confused with David Wilcock? She disappeared in my last video, and I thought maybe she was going to get a snack. I only said that because I think I was starving myself. And then she said, no, I was out getting wood, so that's why I'm making jokes. There is a need for us to be abundant on our own meaning not by ourselves, and that we don't like and that are not joyous, because our own golden opportunity of receptibility lies in the fact that we know that we're beautiful inside and out, that we know our beauty both inside and out will lead us to creating the most beautiful imaginative life in physical reality that we possibly can. But we have to be in that energy of receptibility. We can't say, you know what, I want to be single and independent, but I'm still going to go to the church even though I don't resonate. Or I'm still going to stay in this job. I'm not going to be independent from this company. There's a need for us not to withdraw from the world itself or consciousness or from what we want, but to withdraw our energy from anything that we don't see in our future. The future lies within self. The new earth lies within self. New earth is already here, but you will have a hard time experiencing out of obligation, out of legality, out of technicality that doesn't serve you. Our golden opportunity is to know that we are beautiful both inside and out. Our golden opportunity is to know our self-worth, to know our direction, and just to being receptible, um, having an openness that is receptive to what needs to change, what needs to launch or relaunch in our life. Okay. It's time for us to hit the bullseye. Okay. It's time for us to mark the target. Now, if you're in a place in your consciousness where you're not sure what you're supposed to do, then you're not yet there yet. If you haven't met the person that you're supposed to be with, then you're not there yet. And that's fine, because if you're not there yet in any of those things, you're not creating stagnant energy for yourself. When we create stagnant energy for ourselves is when we know what we should be doing, when we know in our heart the job that we came here to do, when we know in our heart where our passion, our compassion, our direction, our desire is, when we know the person, the job, the place, the things that fill our hearts, but we are not independent from things in reality that keep us from that. So to know our target, okay, to be on target. And if you don't know, oh my gosh, this person is everything I've ever dreamt of in my entire life. I can't even imagine not being without that person. Let's say that's happened to you, but you're not with that person. That's what I mean. So if you don't have the knowledge or the awareness of the people, places, things, situations, career that you're supposed to be in yet, then you're fine. But there's a big group of us who see the target very clearly, who know that person, who know that place, who knows that thing. What happens when you keep yourself stuck, when you know where you're supposed to go, that creates friction, and that causes a lack of self-worth, okay, which messes up our judgment, which in turn messes up the golden opportunity we have to be the highest version of ourselves. So if I chose to fractalize myself off into 6 different people, let's say one of them is the perfect partner. Let's say maybe one of them is a parent. Maybe one of them is a child. Let's say like that. Okay. I have the ability to go through with that, to make that the highest version of reality, or I don't. Okay. So for example, I hate to use this for an example, but let's say I decided, because I wouldn't have known this at 23, I got pregnant at 23 years old. So I had no clue about this. But if I would go through with a pregnancy, okay, if I would have decided unmarried, because I was not married, if I had decided to not keep that child, I would have disengaged from a contract I made with self. Now, this is not me talking about pro-life or anything like that. I'm talking about if you are a person who has chosen to fractalize off into different relationships that would help you achieve the highest version of self in service to human. Chinese zodiac sign, left-handed, looks identical to me. He was days away from being a Scorpio like me. That would have been totally crazy. Scorpio child would have driven his father crazy. But that was decided pre-birth. So let's say I chose not to be a parent. Now, I had obviously did not have this information when I was pregnant, 23 years old. But if I had disconnected from that option of sprinkling my magic, my wisdom into another person directly in my family to know what it is. So when you have, and we all love our children, we all love our parents, we all love our family, but you will notice that if you are a person that has decided to fractal off, to share energy in multiple bodies, that that'll be the most important relationship in the world to you. Okay. Like I said, we all love our children and our parents, and those are very important. But the kind of bond I had with my son was not your average mother-son relationship. Okay. Same thing with my dad. My dad is not the average father-daughter connection at all. The thing is, whether, for me, I chose my father, and I also chose my son, and I also chose a very specific partner. Now, the thing that you will know that happens is when you are conversing with that person, whether that's your father, your son, the partner that you chose, whatever, there is a magnetism there that you cannot get rid of. Okay. It wouldn't matter if someone was on the other side of the world, the other side of the veil. There is no way that you can cut that particular connection off. Again, I'm not downplaying the parent-child relationship in any way, but there are some that's stronger than others. Now, for instance, let's say you pick a specific partner. Not saying you know who this partner is, but a lot of you know that you did pick a specific partner, even if you haven't actually met this person yet. This is something I've known for a really, 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 really long time. So, star-crossed lovers. Third time's the charm, right? So, within this energy, when you meet this person, you guys will not be doing the same thing. Okay. Even though you sprinkled yourself into another form, another person to meet, you are likely going to be opposites in reality. Maybe you're from different countries, totally different walks of life, totally different, whatever. But when you, whether they're there physically or not there physically, you will never, ever forget it. And there is usually one person in this dynamic that is less aligned with physical status, and one person that is more aligned with that kind of energy. Okay, so not a masculine, feminine thing. One person will have more programming. More religious programming, more educational indoctrination, whatever it is. Okay, one person will have almost next to nothing. That'll be me. The other person has a very abundant supply of that. And what will happen is when they meet you, if you are the person that is connected to a bunch of things that don't serve you, that person will become an absolute wrecking ball in your life. And you will start compare everything to that person. And I'm not like talking about, oh, here's two guys, one's good looking, one's a sweet talker. I don't mean that. I mean, one person will be almost devoid and empty of everything that the other person has. Okay. And I'm talking about physical stuff, indoctrination, education, bank accounts, cars, all of it. The person that is more empty of those 3D things, I'll say it like that, has a lot more free time, has a lot more reflection time. And when you meet that other person, the person that has a lot of, okay, this, I don't know why this is so hard to explain. Okay, I have learned to let go of a million and one things. Okay, the other person has not let go of the million and one things yet. But when they meet me, they will not, when I say comparison, I don't mean like body, I don't mean face, I don't mean sound of the voice or how much money am I making a paycheck. I mean the highest, vibrating at the highest form of my own frequency in any given time that I'm capable, that I have the consciousness and awareness of, will become a wrecking ball to the other person's life. Okay. Become a teacher, not because that other person doesn't know you, because if you have fractalized yourself off into, the moment they lay eyes on you is going to know exactly who you are, matter of how long it takes them to send the bomb off or in their life. Okay. And that bomb setting off in their life means destroying the things in their own physical reality that are not the highest version of self in service to humanity. And I don't mean have the same, share the same consciousness, they share the same sparkle, the same shine, the same soul essence, right? The only reason I'm saying that one of you will be the teacher is because the other one knows it, right? But knowing something or being cerebrally inept or cerebrally adept to something, it means you have to do it. Okay. So what I'm saying is there'll be one person who sprinkled themselves into multiple people. For some of you, it's just a partner. So you will recognize that person. If that person doesn't recognize you, that's not your person, because your person is not asleep. If you sprinkled yourself into another person and you're saying, I love this person, but that person's asleep. Okay. So one person becomes a teacher, not because they know more, but because they've already done the discardation of everything that doesn't serve the highest version of self in service to humanity. And another person will have a hard time, perhaps leaving the corporate world or moving away from their homeland or what it is. And that's why I say when they meet you, when they see you, when they see not your face, not your body, when they see your essence, they begin to follow your energy, even though they have your awareness the same way, but they have to learn to use it. And that's why you become the teacher. You become the person that they follow externally above everybody else. And it's not because, again, I know more, or my consciousness is greater, or your consciousness is greater than this other person. It's that you have learned to use what comes in cerebrally, in a cerebral way to you. You will have learned how to implement that into your life. And that other person will look up to you. And that's why I mean, you will become the wrecking ball to that person's 3D reality, because they'll say, oh my gosh, I know all these great things. I know what the highest version of myself feels like, because there are moments in my life when I can feel it. But as long as our greatest destiny lies in becoming the highest version of ourselves in service to humanity. But some of us, again, have put ourselves into 2 bodies or 10 bodies or 100 bodies to make that happen. And like I said, in my particular case, I have many of those people in my family. But that partner, that person, and that person sees me online or has that ability to see me online, um, however we want to say that, um, I will have become an inspiration, not because the way I look, but because, and it's not even about what my level of consciousness is, it is that I have a level of consciousness that I am sharing in whatever way I'm sharing. And that doesn't have to be on, social media. It can be in a grassroots situation or at the local grocery store. You become that other person's inspiration. And you become that other person's inspiration because they know that they are exactly like you, but they're not living exactly like you. And so there's something fear based or fear driven or fear anchored in their physical reality that they can't um, express themselves in the way that you do. So I wanted to kind of say that I don't like to get into the topic of soulmates and twin flames and divine partnerships, and it's not because of my love for Valentine's Day or New Year's, but it's because of that. It's hard. It's a hard subject, and a subject that everyone wants to argue about. I used to see arguments. I don't have anybody showing up on my channel, really, and I never have, that wants to argue about such things. We are brilliant, right? Like these other beings. We couldn't have sprinkled ourselves or shared our consciousness and our soul essence with another person, whether that's one person or 12 people or 200 people, if we didn't think there was a really good reason to do it. And so that is why you become a teacher. And that is why you become the inspiration to someone else. I mean, it's not what you're doing in 3D, but it's when you are in alignment with what you know to be true, and you speak that truth and you live that truth, and another person has that truth and has that same consciousness, but is not putting it in, not using it in 3D reality, right? We can read books and study things all day long. And a lot of times when people are in this situation, they will think, oh, I could just not talk to that person or not look at their social media anymore, or move to the other side of the country, and it'll be gone. But it'll never be gone. It will never. And even if you leave the planet, that energy, that assistance that you came in to drive yourself to be the highest version of self in assistance to humanity, when you sprinkled that in another person, when you come into contact with the people that you sprinkled it in, they won't be able to take their eyes off of you. Okay. And again, this is not about looks and not about personality or anything like that. You will literally meet people that cannot take their eyes off of you because there's something deep within you that they know that they share, just like you do. It's an exact mirror of your consciousness and your awareness. And most of the time, there will be a person who's using it to their best advantage and a person that's trying to ignore it. And if you chose multiple people, there will be multiple variations of that. Okay. My dad has so many of the same conscious experiences as I do, but he wasn't, his parents were very different than my parents. So he doesn't go around talking about it. He certainly doesn't have a YouTube channel talking about it, but he does. Him and Jan do watch my YouTube channel because he knows what I know. He just might not have the words to go with it. And when in the time when he was growing up, people didn't walk around talking about this kind of stuff. Okay. So I have chosen different variations of self who all know the truth, but might not be putting that truth out into the world in the same way. Okay. You will never, ever, ever find my son in a conversation about consciousness. But I walked him home to his dad's one day, and I think he was 11 years old. And I said, I've been dreaming. I had a dream about Planet X. And he said, why are you so surprised? That's your family. And I was like, excuse me? And he goes, yeah, you're related to those people. And I was like, oh, please do tell me more. And so he talked for like a minute or two. And he said, I'm sorry, Mom, I can't tell you anything else. And I was like, who consciousness reflecting back to me through people directly on my path of the highest version of self and service to humanity? We need to accelerate in our communication, in our cooperation, and in our working together with people, whether they're an engineer, an auto mechanic, or a pilot. It doesn't matter. We need to start cooperating and cooperating is probably not the highest version of the word I could use, but collaborating with people. Okay. Instead of saying, I know this, and this were meant for me. And so I'm only going to do this, and this. And a lot of us were there, and I was there for a long time myself. But it's time to expand into collaboration with other people so we can give more energy to this first wave of consciousness, which is interacting with the Akashic field and making the Akashic field more conscious and more active. You can check out the last video. You need info on that one. Okay, I've been making videos for like 3 hours tonight, so I love you. And until next time, remember that every person you meet is a part of you, and some have more parts than others. And it's just trying to show you the highest version of self in service to humanity. Thank you for being here.